If you closely inspect the php.info page, you will notice that the loaded configuration file is empty. So let's quickly fix that. So I'm going to jump into terminal, and from there we need to SSH into our PHP container. So let's list our containers, just making sure they are up and running, and they are. So let's get into our PHP container by saying docker exec -it, and name of the container my project -php and shell. So now we are inside. Now we need to navigate to cd user and source, and if we list the file we will find the tarball files for our PHP. So what we want to do, we want to extract these files and grab php.ini configuration files. So we're gonna do tar xf php tar. We're gonna extract this. Now we should have this file extracted, and that's correct. Let's just inspect the contents of this folder. So as you can see, here are our PHP.ini files we are interested in. So now what we can do, we're gonna exit this container. We're gonna list our containers again, because we will need the ID of our PHP container, and as you can see the ID is here. So now in order to copy files from our container into our local host, we can use command docker cp. Then we need to specify the ID of the container. So let's do that, and then after semicolon we need to specify path to the file we want to copy over, which is going to be user source, and this is going to be php.ini, and first one is development, and we want to copy this file into our PHP folder inside our Docker folder. So what we can do pwd, and then we're gonna say docker php, and let's run this. No such user source, so something went wrong, and oh yes, of course, because this is inside of PHP -7.2.6 directory. So now if we run this, we should be able to copy over, yeah. And let's grab another one, which is production. So let's do the same. Let's quickly check if we got the files, and as you can see, files are there. So let's quickly jump into our code editor, and you can see we've got our configuration files. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna mount these files. So in our volumes, we're gonna add another one, and this is going to be from docker php. And what we want to do, php.ini, and let's load our development configuration, and we want to mount this into user local etc php.ini. Okay, so that's all what we need to do. Now if I jump quickly into terminal and try to recreate our containers, let's quickly go back to the root, and let's do docker compose app-d. Let's specify build flag and force recreate. Very quickly, and looks like all is good. So let's quickly jump into our browser, refresh the page, and it didn't work. I'm just wondering why. Probably messed up the path. So docker php-ini development into user local etc, and I forget the slash, so that's a very annoying thing, but nothing serious. So let's do that again. Let's go back to our browser, quickly check, and as you can see, our configuration file is loaded. So now if we want to configure our PHP, we can do that from inside these two files. So if you want to change some values, we can very easily do that before we start our container. Now if I go back to my Docker Compose, well, it would be neat if I could actually specify which configuration file I want to load from my .env. So what I'm gonna do in my .env, I'm gonna create another variable called php-fpm conf, and here for the value I can say either development or production, because those are the endings of the files. So let's do development, and now inside my Docker Compose, what I can do, in my Docker Compose I can replace this with the variable. So that's what I'm going to do. So now if I want to change the configuration file I want to load, I can just quickly go to .env and change this to development, or for the production, whatever I want. Let's just quickly check if this is all working. So let's just recreate a PHP container and see if this is still working fine, and I expect that this is working just fine, and it's working great.